You're listening to Dishing It, a food podcast talking up food from all corners of Scotland. Well, folks, we are here for the final episode of Series 1. In the words of Shania Twain, looks like we made it. Had to do that one. My podcast, I can sing whenever I goddamn like, okay? As Series 1 draws to a close, I'm feeling quite reflective, so in this episode I'm dedicating my regular feature of food news to the brands that I have met with so far on the podcast. So in episode 3 I spoke to Stuart McPhee, the general manager of Siberia Bar and Hotel, to get all his drink recommendations from around Scotland, whilst also swapping to his other drinking hat to hear all about his new hard seltzer company, Twisted Sisters. Since chatting, Twisted Sisters is getting ready to hit taste buds as its pre-sale launches on Wednesday the 23rd of June, so head on over to the website, which is linked in the description of this podcast. And if you don't manage to get your hands on an order, fear not, just make a trip down to Siberia Bar and you can order yourself a can or two from there. Pop on your party hat and get the party hooters at the ready. The Fat Sparrow Bakery has turned 1. In episode 2, I caught up with baking extraordinaire Graham to drain him of all his baking tips and to hear the story of how the Fat Sparrow Bakery came to be. To mark its milestone year, delivery has been waived on all orders this week, so just simply pop first birthday. That's, with my spelling bee hat on, it's the number 1, STBIRTHDAY, first birthday, in the coupon code section at the checkout. This offer is only valid for its birthday week, so if you're listening after Monday the 28th of June, sorry, you've missed the boat there, pal. And finally, drop everything as Avo is back after more than a year of being off the streets, as it's soon to add to the lineup at the second home of the Backyard Beach Collective at Union Square Shopping Centre. In episode 4, I spoke with Dave Griffiths. I can comfortably say his name now. Thank you, voice coach. To hear all about Avo and the new community market concept Stacks, which is due to open in 2022, fingers crossed. And ever since then, I've been yearning for a slap-up Avo dish. Setting up shop from Wednesday the 23rd of June and joining the likes of Roots, Aberdam Fries, Dirty Dogs, Bio Cafe, you need to get involved. It's a fantastic concept they've got going and is just setting the precedents for Stacks coming next year. Long may it continue. Over the past couple of months, I've been meeting up with food brands, food writers and Instagrammers to dig a little deeper into their stories and tap into their must-eat recommendations from all around Scotland. From dieting tips to baking no-nos and cosy escapes to future food horizons, Series 1 has definitely crammed in a lot, and I was keen to find out what you listeners enjoyed most of this series. So I took to my stories to ask that very question. Listeners were lured in deep by sweet temptations of the cinnamon bun chat with Graham from the Fat Sparrow Bakery. Seemed that all eyes were on his buns. Also a shout out for my rendition of All in This Together from High School Musical. I won't sing it again, but thank you for recognising my true singing talents, whoever you are. For just £1 a day, you can stop the food hoover from singing. Listening to my dulcet tones every week came up, what charmers you all are, but I'm sure there's a mild sense of sarcasm wrapped up in those statements, but I'll take it. Scott Baptie's health and fitness tips seem to go down really well, with lots of people seeing diet in a whole new perspective, and exploring Edinburgh's booming list of recommendations from the capital had people scribbling down suggestions by the minute. But shining right at the top of the list like a beaming star at the top of the Christmas tree was the exciting developments with Stacks Aberdeen, which, along with myself, listeners are absolutely buzzing for. And it's not the close of the chapter yet, we still have one episode to go in my final episode of the series, if you haven't heard already. In this interview, I catch up with Lindsay Jackson, who's one half of the smoking power couple Smoke and Soul, where we talk about their story so far, where it all began, and what's next for the brand. Hope you enjoy. So I'm here at Smoke and Soul. Okay, so I'm here at Smoke and Soul HQ with Lindsay from Smoke and Soul. There might be a bit of an echo for everyone at home, but I am at the new, what should we call it?
Smoke and Soul HQ.
Smoke and Soul HQ. I'm at the Smoke and Soul HQ with Lindsay, and we're going to speak about all things Smoke and Soul today. This is the second time we're actually recording this, because the first time we were at the mercy of Zoom. Bad technical glitches, to say the least. We had to do it over phone call, and it just wasn't the vibe. But we managed to find time in the diary, and we're meeting face to face, where we're allowed to now with COVID restrictions. So I'm very excited to have her on the podcast today. How are you doing, Lindsay?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Good, fantastic. I've been very fortunate over lockdown and up until now to be kept stocked with Smoke and Soul through all the kind of home deliveries you've been doing, and very excited to hear about all your latest updates with the Smoke and Soul HQ, which we'll get on to in a minute. It's been a rollercoaster year for you guys. How does it feel to be back indoor serving up your food again at 6 Degrees North?
It's great to be back in front of customers again. Just seeing their faces, especially all the sort of regulars. It's just nice to see more than just Corey and I, and I love our team to bits. But it's nice just to have more people to chat to and serve them in person, because right now it's like the food, it's getting boxed up in a bag.
You don't see the end.
You don't see the end customer. Like, you don't see their happy faces at the end, and having an opportunity to talk to them in person. So it's great to be back.
Good. And how is it doing takeaway and face-to-face service again? Is that gotten a bit of taking used to?
It's been a bit of a challenge, I suppose, for the team to sort of transition from just doing takeaway to doing the restaurant, because you've got to set up the kitchen slightly different way and things. So it's been a little bit challenging, but the team's handled it all great. Like, they're all doing a really good job. So I think they're managing fine, and luckily we've managed to not turn on busy mode or anything too much for takeaway, and make people have to wait longer for takeaway, because we've got the customers in the bar. We're finding a good balance. So it's all right.
Good. Back to be touching normality.
It's just good.
Nice.
Yeah, it's just nice to be back.
And you've been busy with Backyard Beach Collective as well. You've been there every week.
Well, no, we were there for two out of 5 weekends, and that was right before the restaurant reopened. So there was a lot to get organised and prepped for, but it was so good to do our first event again, like back out in the sunshine, and everyone was out, and it was good. So
there's a lot to look forward to, but before we look to the future, let's have a look back to where it all began. Do you want to tell everyone at home how Smoke and Soul came to be?
Okay, so about 4 years ago, me and my partner, both working full-time jobs, wanted to do something a bit different and just do something that would have brought us more job satisfaction. We weren't particularly happy in the jobs we were in, and we just were looking for something more. So we both spoke a lot about doing something with food in the past. We're both foodies, and Corey in particular has always been into cooking and barbecuing, especially in recent years. And I kind of wanted to do something. I wanted to have my own business and do something. I've always kind of dreamt of having my own business, but I didn't really know what I wanted to do. And I was thinking around the realms of events. And then I said to Corey, well, what about catering? Because then we could do, you can take your love of food, and I'll take my sort of admin, organisational skills, put them together and do that. So we thought, well, we could try street food, because then we can pick up work at weekends and not have to worry about quitting our day jobs and jumping in the deep end. So we started that. We kind of started talking about it in the August, and Smoke and Soul was born over a bottle of wine one night when we were talking about it more and more. And the name came that night, and everything, just the idea, it all kind of just started fitting into place. And then it was the December that we did our first event, and that was out in Turriff at the Winter Wonderland, and sort of rest is history.
God, it's crazy where it all starts with people, and I love hearing like the background, like you're saying, like you were doing your admin stuff, and Corey loved food, and you just kind of blended together, and that's how it came to be. Where did you take inspiration from to do the whole kind of smoke and wood-fired kind of food?
That's sort of Corey's bag, but he's always just loved anything barbecue related. I think it's like the sort of primal cooking, over flame. He's drawn to somehow. So
his inner caveman.
Exactly. And I've seen him making a tripod out of sticks from our back garden and cooking, over the flames in our back garden and stuff. So he's just always loved doing it. And I think with the smoking, there wasn't really anyone, when we were thinking about what kind of food business we should start as a street food business, there wasn't really anyone at the time doing anything like that. So we just took what he already loved doing, and we're like, how can we turn this into, a business? And also, like, it all kind of really started, I suppose, in terms of his passion for why he wanted to do it, from doing our own barbecues in our back garden. So our firstly our housewarming, and then each year it kind of got bigger and bigger, and he would get more and more adventurous with cooking at the barbecue, and then people would be like, oh, when are you going to have another barbecue?
Yeah, I was going to say that people start getting the taste for it, don't
so
they?
It's just kind of natural that that's the route we went down when it came to the food.
Oh, nice. And what was your biggest reservation about going out on your own?
Honestly, I guess the fear of failure. Nobody wants to put themselves out there and for it not to work out. So I guess that was my worry. But Corey is very ambitious. Anytime I have worries, he's always telling me to stop stressing, just go for it. And he's sort of very motivating for me, because I worry too much about what could go wrong, sort of thing. So I guess like our personalities kind of complement one another as business owners.
Definitely, yeah. Sounds like a match made in heaven, I'd say. Mm-hmm. So, and your following has continuously grown on social media, and I don't think there's ever a day that your story is empty of other people's content that you've been sharing when they've been getting their orders. Mm-hmm. How does it feel to have created such a successful brand that people love?
It is actually a really good accomplishment, particularly for me, because when I left uni, I did a business degree at RGU, and marketing was always something that I was drawn towards throughout the course, and unfortunately I never really found a job after leaving uni that was specifically marketing related. I kind of jumped around and did loads of different types of jobs, and a lot of those jobs maybe had wee parts of it that was marketing, and I always really loved it and kind of was drawn towards that. So before Smoke and Soul happened, I was looking into potentially doing work in the marketing field, but it's like, how do you get that job if you've not got the experience? It's like classic
chicken and egg scenario.
So my mindset was thinking when we started Smoke and Soul that we could, like, I could give myself my own opportunity to do marketing with this. So I just kind of threw myself into it. I did some extra online training and different things, and just soaked in as much marketing experience as I could from the job I was in at the time when we started Smoke and Soul. And thankfully it's kind of filtered through, I guess, into our business. So yeah.
And I think stuff like that is really good for, like, with me, I work in marketing now, but before I was in an events job, and again I was like teetering into marketing, and I was like, I really want to do marketing, but I could never get into that role, or it wasn't a role that would take me without having marketing experience. Then that's why I started my blog, and then it kind of just rolls from there. So it's funny how where things end up, you just got to throw yourself into it, don't you? So that was over 3.5 years ago. What's been like your biggest learning through that time?
My biggest learning is probably that you can't do everything. Because I've worn so many hats since we started our business and tried to do everything. I've tried to learn how to be an accountant, how to do, the marketing side of things, which thankfully I enjoy doing, and I seem to be doing an okay job of it.
You're doing very well at it.
But it's, even like graphic design, other stuff, sales, just there's so many different hats I've had to wear, and I suppose that's quite common for most business owners, but especially when it came to like accounting, I was like, no, it's not for me. It's not for me. It wasn't at uni. It's not now. So I've learned that you can't do everything. You've got to pass on work to the right people and focus on your own abilities, and because otherwise you're just going to drown in work that you're not even enjoying doing, and the whole reason you started it is to do something you enjoy. So
and it's going to counteract.
So that's my main sort of learning point, and also just to take time out, because we've sort of burnt ourselves out a few times over the years just by never taking breaks. Working stupid long hours. Especially, I always joke even now to Corey that, like, why have we picked the most long-winded food possible for a food business? It's so time consuming to do what we do. So I'll kind of joke about that now, because it's just it's so time consuming. But
how long does it take usually, like, for a typical? I guess it depends on how big.
I mean, like briskets and things that can take anywhere between sort of 12 to 18 hours smoking. So it's just and then trying to fit that into a normal working day. Like when we first started our business, we had this little coal barbecue out the back in our back garden, so that's where we started our business from. And we were literally working Monday to Friday job. we would get home from work, start prepping the meat on like a sort of Thursday, Friday, and then we would be up all night. There was one day that Corey never actually, I think he had like 20 minutes sleep before he went to his day job, which was just ridiculous. So yeah, it's all about figuring out how to be more efficient with your workload, I suppose.
Hats off for the planning on that one.
Yeah.
Do you watch Motherland by any chance?
No.
So it's on BBC, and it's basically about a group of mums who are just trying to get through muddling through life with their kids and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But there's actually an episode where one of the like stay-at-home dads, they go on a weekend away and he tries to smoke a pig.
Okay.
And he says, it's going to take 10 hours. It takes him like 24 hours and everyone's hungry. And he's like, it takes time. That's what made me off when you said.
I know that. Yeah, I know that all too well.
You know that feeling.
Mm-hmm. I've learned the hard way through Corey, you know.
Bad times. So let's flip back to the darker days of lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
What was your initial thought when it was announced that hospitality had to close back in the first lockdown?
Fear.
Yeah.
I was really worried that our business wasn't going to survive the pandemic, and it was literally like a domino effect. So when we first found out, and we were all crowded around our phones, looking at the news when it happened, and the restaurant had to close, and it was like the restaurant closed. We weren't on takeaway at the time, and all of the events and street food that we were planning for the whole of summer, we had a whole year lined up with events, literally started falling like dominoes. And it was the first week or so was just horrendous. It was very stressful and upsetting, because it's like we've just put all this work in, and something that's completely out of our control is going to take it all away.
Like he's had momentum anyway, but it was like as it was kept on building, and then that happens.
So it was just fear and worry, and we had staff as well, so it was like the worry that we couldn't keep our staff on, so
because takeaway you didn't have set up at the time, so obviously that's a massive worry, because you're like, how the hell do we do this? But I remember, was it quite a quick, well, for me as a consumer, I thought it was a quick setup to get to takeaway, but I suppose back of house it probably took a bit of time.
We were kind of lucky in the sense that we'd spoke about doing takeaway for about a year. Since we moved into 6 Degrees, we always spoke about doing it, but because me and Corey were so heavily involved with the day-to-day things, it was like, it was impossible to try and figure it all out whilst we were still running a business and still doing events and everything. So we kind of pushed it off, but the few months leading up to COVID, luckily we were already starting to look into it. I'd already started doing the work to have menus sort of in our mind about what we want to do for takeaway, because not all food travels as well takeaway as it does in the restaurant. So we were a little bit further ahead than some people, I suppose, and that helped us. So we got onto takeaway, I think it was like 2 weeks after we closed, 1 or 2 weeks, and that was just a whole new learning curve, a totally different way of service and running the kitchen as it would be for a restaurant, but it kept us going, so it was good.
100%. And if there was anyone out there who is wanting to start a food business, would you, with what you've learned now, would you say have a takeaway option, even if you don't want to do takeaway, have a contingency just in case?
I would say yes, for sure, and also just that it works, and even before COVID and things, a lot of people are obviously staying at home now more than going out as they would, but it opens you up to a whole new range of customers, and for us, although the likes of Deliveroo and Just Eat and things, they do take a huge percentage, which is devastating when you see it across the whole year how much you've paid out in commission. It's
and I bet you anything they start with the top level figure of what you've and it's like, here's what we've taken,
and it is awful, but despite that, it is a high commission, but at the same time, we got ourselves onto a platform where a whole load of people in Aberdeen were on and didn't know about us. So it increased our brand awareness. Definitely. A lot more people found out who we were. So I can't speak too badly about those platforms, because they literally helped us survive. So
that's so good. And if you could speak to your March 2020 self, what bit of advice would you give yourself?
I suppose just trust in your gut a bit, especially trust Corey's gut, in the sense that he has these ideas, or he thinks of a solution for something, and it's usually quite like a big scary step, and I'm like, oh no,
not for us,
not yet, no, I don't think
Yeah.
we're there yet. And he's like, no, trust me, like, we need to do this.
Yeah.
And then I'll catch up maybe like a month later, like I'll catch up with his thinking, and I'm like, oh yeah, I should have started thinking about this a week or a month ago. So it's just to trust in your instincts,
And it's a hard thing to do in a time, and it's probably where the balance of you and Corey is really good, because I'd imagine he'd be equally as stressed out during the pandemic times, but could see a way out of it. But I know if I was in that situation, I'd be like, well, that's us done. I'll just get the furlough and just like sit and wait. But it's probably where it balances out that like you kind of pull at each other in different ways. And that's where it works really well.
When he does start to freak out about something, I pull him back in, and vice versa. But I did get to a point, like a week or so into lockdown, when it first kicked off, where I was stressing and I was sort of snowballing, and I was very stressed and upset about the whole thing. I did reach a point where I was just like, no, nothing's going to get done. I'm not letting myself fail with this business. And it was a case of sort of sink or swim. And we were like, well, there's no point stressing about it, because I'm only going to, snowball and not stay on track. So I managed to kind of pull myself back a little bit, and definitely from the help from Cody.
And it must have been so nice to see like your current customers who you had, and along with new people finding you. It must have been such a nice feeling to be like, okay, well, this is like now our map for the next few months, and you've got like your audience again.
It was like a safety net.
Oh, that's really nice. Let's scrumple up pandemic, throw it in the bin. What's been the biggest positive for you guys since you've started?
I would say just working for ourselves, being our own bosses, in the sense that we're in control of our own pace, our own sort of objectives, if visual, we sort of call the shots, and I like that. I think it's a good feeling.
Okay, now to the future, and the future is looking really good for you guys. I mentioned at the start that we're here at the Smoke and Soul HQ, but do you want to fill in everyone about what to expect from this new space?
Yeah, okay, so
there's a big smile on Lindsay's face.
A lot of people have been messaging us or speaking to us in person thinking it's a restaurant or a takeaway, which is not going to be. We are keeping our residency at 6 Degrees North. It works really well. We've got a great relationship with 6 Degrees, and a lot of our customers are mutual, because beer and barbecue go so well together. Really well. It's the perfect location, I think, for us, and right in the city centre as well. So we're keeping that there. So this new place that we've just moved into is where we've built a purpose-built kitchen for smoking. So all the smoking's coming out at 6 Degrees and coming here. And we have designed it in such a way, so there's the office next door so that I can take care of the sort of business day-to-day stuff. Corey's mainly sort of looking after the production side of things, but we've designed the building in such a way that we eventually plan to host our own events from here. So our own events, but also potentially like street food events from here, because we've got this giant yard outside, which was the biggest selling point for us. So we can bring in a lot of the friends that we've made in the industry and give them an opportunity to sell and reach new customers as well. So that's one thing we've always wanted to do, is like organise our own street food events, and we kind of did that a bit prior to the pandemic, but I'd love to get back to doing that again. It's good.
Oh, amazing.
Kind of ties back in with me wanting to do events in the first place,
So. All comes around full circle.
Yeah.
And would you say when you started Smoke and Soul, was this what you envisaged?
Not
with
at
it,
all.
Or was it you just didn't really know?
I honestly didn't know what Smoke and Soul would be. We literally just wanted to do street food, and it's just evolved from street food into people asking us to do private catering because they've tried us at street food events. So it snowballed into that. Then the bar, we started doing pop-ups with the likes of Brewtoon, Fierce, and then 6 Degrees North, who asked us to move in. So everything's just sort of happened organically, and I don't know what I expected 4 years ago for this to be now, but it's better than I expected.
Yeah,
so
that's good.
It's better than I expected. And this whole part of the our sort of HQ that our smoking kitchen here the whole point of that as well is that from last year we started selling our meat packs. And that is because we barbecue, pull, and then vacuum bag our meat, and that's how we reheat for selling at street food events.
Okay.
So we had a different process for in the restaurant, but when takeaway started, and the takeaway was there was so much orders coming through, we had to return to how we used to do things with street food, because it's like more high volume, like fast paced. So we started doing that again. When the kitchen closed because of COVID, we had a fridge full of these meat packs, and our friends and family used to always ask us to buy some from them, but we were like, well, let's put it out to the customers and see if they want it. And then that really took off, because they can just reheat it the exact same way as us. They're getting like, you know, restaurant quality food exactly how we're doing it, and they can get creative and make their own versions of whatever they want with using our meat. So that really took off to the point where we eventually stopped advertising it because we'd run out of space. So that's why we're in here now. It's so that we've got a bigger kitchen, more capacity. We can return to, you know, the restaurant now is reopened, the takeaway is still going strong, and then we've got all of our events and things, but also so that we can still keep selling our meat packs to customers, because it took off and we've seen the demand was there, but we didn't have the capacity
to keep on doing it.
So that's the main reason we've really moved in here. It's just for space.
And do you think, could you see the Smoke and Soul packs being in supermarkets and butchers and stuff, do you think, in the future?
Potentially, yeah. We are working, we've been working on it for about the last year. We are almost ready we've got new packaging. It's just so it's more retail ready if we do want to go down that route. We are getting our production kitchen SALSA accredited, which you'd need for getting into bigger retailers. So who knows where we'll be in a year's time.
Look what you've achieved so far.
Yeah.
And so we're sat in Lindsay's office, and on her wall she's got a shelf which is her award shelf. Would that be the title you'd want to call it?
Yeah, it's my affirmation shelf.
Shelf.
Yeah. So I've built this shelf in my office because it came from a joke at some point about awards and things. And they were like, "Oh, you'll need to get an award shelf." And I was like, "I'm going to build.
I'm going to do it now.
I'm going to build my own award shelf right above my desk so that I'm reminded every day of." Well, what we've achieved, because they're not all awards. We've got our book up there, we've got a few pages in the Street Food Scotland book.
Yeah, that's by Plate Expectations.
Yeah.
Because I think you were the only one in Aberdeen to be featured in there.
Melt was in there as well. And there's a few really good ones from our area as well. That's in the book, but that's a huge accomplishment for us. Like, I love that.
Was it long after you had really started?
Fairly
new still.
Yeah, I think it was 2019. So we're on the go for like just under 2 years. Yeah, it was amazing. Like it was so nice to be publishing a book. That was a big deal. We bought two of them. We're like, we'll keep one for sure.
It's really good ones. So we put in the treasure trove.
Yeah, so we've got one on the shelf there. The whole point we built this shelf was like, I'm like, well, I want to get an award. I want to be able to say, we're award-winning business.
Yes,
so
100%.
That's the plan. I mean, we've got one award up so far.
Yes, we've got the Society 2020 Awards. I say we. yeah, my award too.
You want a job here?
We've got the virtual, I should say, Society Awards 2020, where you won Social Media Presence of the Year.
Yep.
So that felt really great.
Yeah, that was a good feeling. Like going back to how I was saying about wanting to get into market and stuff like that. Because we were up for 2 awards last year. One was that one, and the other one was the Food Business of the Year, which we were nominated for last year as well, and we're finalists for. So it was amazing to be up for those 2. The social media one, it was almost more of a personal award because I'm the only one that's ever really done this. It's been something that's been my baby for the business, is doing the social media and marketing. So that was a massive personal accomplishment, and I felt like, okay, I've ticked something off on my CV sort of thing, in terms of I've done something good with marketing. So I feel like I've achieved something.
Love it. And the Coke bottle, what's that for?
Oh, that's just for drinking.
Extra special Coke. Not that kind of Coke. So you've just finished a busy shift working in the Smoke and Soul kitchen, and you're absolutely starving. What would be your order off the menu, and what drink would you be having on the side of it?
I had to get Cody's input on this.
Okay.
You asked you sort of spoke about this question before, and I know what I'd have, which is poutine, always.
Hands down.
Yeah, the brisket poutine is always my number one. But I'm not a massive beer drinker. And if I am, it's like a sour beer, and I don't think I'm not really good with beer pairing, so I don't really know. So I asked Corey, like, what would you have? Because his favourite is the brisket poutine as well, and he said it's the Dark Days Stout. By 6 degrees, yeah.
Level Stout.
Yeah.
Dark Days
It goes really well.
6 degrees.
We've done that before as well. We've done a few like specials where we've made like stout brisket with using like Fierce beer or 6 degrees as well. So there's ways of incorporating like beer into our meat as well, you know. So which like our customers always love because it's like fusing properly,
people
fusing
just love
everything
stuff
together.
like that, like two things that they know and kind of blend together. People just love stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so you've ordered that off the menu. Is there any new options that are going to come on the menu, do you think? Or is there any work happening behind the scenes?
Yeah, we are. We've tested out so many different specials over the last, 2 years, but last year doesn't really count, does it? We did test out a lot of different specials just to see what works, what customers like, and the burgers that we started off last year, it's something we never really ever intended on doing because we kind of always wanted to showcase more non-UK traditional barbecue, you know. So, you know, like your sort of burgers and sausages and things that people expect to have if you come to a barbecue at your friend's house or something. So we've always kind of steered towards something that's, for the UK anyway, it's a little bit more exciting. However, people kept on asking us for burgers. Corey makes really good burgers. Like when we're at home, like, you know, he does make really good ones. So I was like, well, maybe we should just try it. See, you know, give the people what they want. They've asked for it, you know, and we could still incorporate like our brisket with a burger or whatever. You know, we could make it a little bit more bougie. So we got in touch with the farm that's just along the road from our house. It's Hatton Creek Deli, great little farm shop. It's got all the little gems in there. So we contacted them and we use their mince all the time for if we make any burgers and stuff at home. So we were like, could we get this on like a larger scale and do this in a restaurant? And they were really keen as well. So it was great to use like literally meat that's, you know, from a farm that's less than 2 miles from our house. And that's what we always try and do, is use a lot of local produce like throughout our menu. So we did those burgers just as a special. But they were so popular that we did them quite a few times last year when the restaurant was open. And that's definitely something we're wanting to bring back soon as well, like as a permanent fixture on the menu. So we're kind of changing up how the menu is put together. It's not the right word, but you know, we've got lots of ideas. Burgers being one of them. They're definitely coming back.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So watch this space.
See, because usually when I'm out, like we probably not get a burger because I've had so many bad burgers. But I know your burgers are really good because I've had them before. So everyone get a burger when they're on the menu. I get absolutely ripped to shreds for loving pineapple on a pizza. And it was music to my ears when I saw you did the pineapple combo on your burger I think it was last year, I think. What's an unconventional combo that you'd love to introduce to the mouths of Aberdeen?
It's a good question. There's a couple of things
there's
we're working on.
Pipeline.
Yeah. There's one thing that's coming soon that I personally still think is really random, but works. And there's we've trialled something out already, and we've had really good feedback from those people that have tried what we're working on just now as a collaboration. So it's coming soon.
So everyone follow Smoking Soul on Instagram and Facebook, and you can get your update there. And how do I join the list to be a taste tester? Is that a thing?
We'll let you know.
Let me know.
Got your email, nice.
We touched on business advice at the start of the podcast. Going back to that, what's 3 bits of advice that you wish someone told you before you started out?
Well, the first one would be to do research before you get started. We did quite a lot of that before we started Smoking Soul, just to know like what's already out there. You know, especially with a food business, there's a lot to learn. And we were complete newbies. We'd never worked in a kitchen or anything before, like professionally. So do your research and know exactly what you need to do, because you don't want to, you know, get in the wrong side of like EHO and things. You know what I mean? You want to make sure you're doing everything right. One problem that you could do by not doing your research could cost you your business and potentially cost someone their life. You know, like not to be too morbid, but you know, when it comes to like allergens and things. So yeah, do your research for what you can. Make sure whatever you're doing you're passionate about in the first place, because you know, it's not all sunshine and rainbows when you start your own business. It's hard graft, and if you don't love what you're doing, you know, then
It's a risky
it's
game.
not gonna
Yeah.
last.
No.
It's just not gonna last, because it's like me and Corey's, we're so genuinely passionate about our business and about what we're doing that even in like the really hard days, you would get through it, because it's like, well, you know, overall you will love it.
Yeah.
So you know, it's it just helps you get through, I think. And don't be scared to ask for help or advice from other businesses as well, because you know we reached out to a lot of people when we first started. There was quite a few people who were really helpful when we first started, and we've always tried to sort of pass on that kindness to other people.
Yeah.
So any businesses that have reached out to us asking us questions, we've always tried to be as open and honest as we can, and maybe sometimes I share like probably more than I should or more than I need to, but you know, it's just like I just want to help people.
Exactly.
You know, we're doing it because we enjoy what we do. We're not really competitive people. Don't really see you know, other food businesses in Aberdeen as the competitors. It's like sort of friends you haven't met yet sort of thing.
It's like one community, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think that's the best mindset
Definitely.
to have, you know.
100%. And I think that takes me nicely on to my next question about collaboration. And something I love about you guys is that you do collaborate with a lot of local names, like Big Beef Biltong, Avo, Simply Donuts, are a few that you've worked with recently. Do you think that has kind of built into your key success as such?
I think it's definitely good from a marketing perspective, in the sense that, you know, you're helping them grow their brand, and they're helping you grow your brand, because you know, it's like a crossover of customers. I think it's important to make the right decisions if you're going to collaborate with people. Make sure that the brands complement one another, and there's a good reason for why you're doing it in the first place. Like, quite a lot of our collabs hasn't actually happened because of a marketing strategy or anything. It's literally just because we've started speaking to these businesses. Like I was just saying, we've chatted to a lot of different businesses and offered advice or asked for advice from people, and we start chatting, we've become friends with a lot of these other businesses, and then we'll be chatting one day because they've got a really good product and we've got a product that we love, and we're like, oh, you know, like the Breer Pie one we did recently. As soon as I tried them before, I was like, we've got to try this, because that pie crust is like next level.
I've heard it. I've still not managed to get one.
Oh no!
But I've got a voucher for Hamilton store to spend. I'm like keeping it for that.
Get
but I need to get one soon. Because I keep on seeing it on my feed. I'm like, I need that pie.
They're really good. So yeah, I think it's all about just finding the right. If you're going to collaborate, I think sometimes people do it purely for marketing. I see that as like a bonus for doing it. Like, we just do it because we enjoy. We're foodies. We're seeing a fusion of two things that you love. Like, we love our food and we love the people that we're speaking to's food. So like fusing that two together and coming up with something. It's just fun. It's like, I suppose it's a bit like Brewdog, where you see they've got their core range of things they do all the time, but it's the fun extra beers that they put on and stuff that is, I don't know, you get more enjoyment out of it, I suppose, do you? So.
And people love something new all the time. Is there a dream brand out there that you'd love to collab with?
We've said this from day one, because Corey's such a big like beer enthusiast. We've always spoke about wanting to do our own beer.
Oh, okay, cool.
We'd love to do that, especially because like that was one of the very first events we'd ever done, was a pop-up with like Brewtune. And I know that Fierce has got a beer, Fresh Mex have got their beer with Brewtune, which is amazing. I love seeing that. So it's something that Corey has spoken about a lot over the years, because he's done his own brewing at home and stuff as well.
Cool.
So you would just love to do something like that. But I wouldn't say there's not a particular brand or business that is like our dream collab. I don't know, I just think they're just fun to do. I'd rather do more of them than just have one big one, one big goal. I just
keep it moving, keep doing different ones. Yeah, definitely.
Did you had a Simply Donut yet? Because I was listening to your podcast with Dave.
Honestly, like throughout lockdown, I was tortured with I felt like I was the last person in the world to get onto the booking form, even though I was there at like a 1 minute past 8, and it was always like sold out. And then I went out to Forest Farm Dairy, and they sell them there as well. And it wasn't until after I'd left I figured out they sold them there.
Oh no!
So I just keep. I don't think it's meant to be just now. It will come. It will come at some point.
We had to do a collaboration with them just to get our hands on some.
What I could do. A taste tester.
Yeah.
That's what I'll offer them. But yeah, no. Hopefully I get one of those soon because they just do look really well.
They're
What was
the
it
best
you did?
donuts I've had.
What was it you did with Simply Donuts again? Was it the glaze?
The first one was a Dark Days donut, we called
That's
it,
right.
and it was for raising money for mental health charities in Aberdeen. Through one of our customers actually who approached us to see about sponsoring him, and I was like, oh well, let's see what we could do to actually try and raise some money for you. So we did the Dark Days donut, and that was using Dark Days beer stout by 6 Degrees North, and our smoked pecans we made,
Nice.
and Simply Donuts just working our magic with the right flavours to go with the beer and the chocolate. It was so good. I think it was like a cherry chocolate stout beer donut.
Yes, that rings a bell.
Yeah.
She's like she's like incredibly good, and everyone I've
Yeah.
spoken to is like amazed.
Yeah.
Like another good lockdown. Was it a lockdown?
I'm not sure when she started, if it was
maybe
before.
actually.
Yeah,
But yeah, she's just
it's
grown.
definitely taken off.
Oh, strength.
Yeah.
Amazing. So I worked in a hotel once and absolutely hated it, but I used to dread going in the kitchen because the chef was bloody scary. But the thing that always stood out to me is that he always had a banging playlist to get him into the zone and get through his orders. What is your song that you need to have played at night in the Smoking Soul kitchen?
Well, it's changed a lot over the years.
Changes of the moods.
It's changes with the moods, yeah. And well, our team have actually, because me and Cody have sort of moved out of the kitchen at 6 Degrees
Okay.
now, and we're focused on the sort of production here and running the business as a whole. But they do have their own kitchen playlist now, which is great. One of them that we were listening to the other day, it's a classic, but The Chain by Fleetwood Mac.
Oh,
It's good, and
yes.
especially because it kind of starts off slow, then it gets,
imagine that in the
picks up
order
speed.
orders flying out.
Yeah, so that's a good one.
Do you and Corey have a favourite that you like to play?
Our one is Loose Ends by Sticky Fingers.
Nice.
Or we love Tash Sultana. That we kind of discovered her music probably the start of last year, and that's like her albums are constantly on the car, the kitchen, the house.
Everywhere.
Yeah, I just love her.
Good. You guys are never far away from an inventive recipe. So my final question for tonight is, what is your recipe to happiness?
I would say follow your passions.
All your passions.
Or follow your dreams. Like, it sounds really cheesy, but seriously, like if there's something that you really want to do, then just try.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, worst case scenario, you either hate it and you give it up, or you don't do very well, and at least you've tried.
Yeah.
So it's, I think if there's something that just excites you and you want to do, just go for it, because life's
You've got
short.
to.
I know it sounds so cheesy.
It is so
Put
short.
most of the stuff I've just said on a wall and a bloody, like quote.
When it was vinyl,
Yes.
vinyl stickers, live, laugh, love.
Yeah, totally. But like it's true. Just
Yeah.
like, I mean, it's certainly made me happy. It's made Cody happy. We weren't particularly happy before we started Smoking Soul in our careers, and that's just taken us. Like, we're just that's made us very happy.
Yeah. Oh, that's so
Yeah.
nice.
So yeah, I suppose that's only one ingredient, isn't it?
That's one ingredient.
One
Yeah. I need at least
ingredient.
one. I need another
Yeah.
one.
Sleep. Can we put that in
Sleep,
there?
yes.
Because we didn't get much of that to begin with.
Oh God, I can imagine.
We're running on a high, I suppose, but eventually you do need to make sure you get regular sleep,
Yeah.
because we didn't have much time for that when we started.
What was the first thing you, like, when you properly took a break? What was, like, the thing that you did when you took a break?
What did we do? Well, we were at 6 Degrees, because that's when we like quit our day jobs, did it full time. When we moved in at 6 Degrees, we booked a sort of log cabin up in Aviemore.
Nice.
I wish I knew the name. I would shout them out now, but it was so good. That was like in the November, so we started in June.
Nice.
And it was November, like end of November, that we got like 3 days out in the kitchen. But it was like the best 3 days ever.
Best place to escape as well.
Yeah, they had like we wanted somewhere with a hot tub to just like ease our aching bones from working in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Having like 7 days a week, every week for months. But they didn't have a hot tub, so we settled for this log cabin that had like 2 baths next to one another with a TV and stuff.
I love it.
It was really random, but it was so nice, and we didn't last long in the bath because it was too hot.
Yeah, you know.
It was great. It was really nice accommodation, and just like Aviemore is a nice place to go to.
So nice. Okay, so recipe to happiness: follow your dreams and passions. Sleep.
Keep eating good food. That makes me happy.
Keep the good food flowing.
Yeah. Get some fresh air. God, if you work in a kitchen, if you're going to start a business like in a kitchen, make sure you get some fresh air, because most kitchens in Aberdeen don't have any like natural daylight.
Yeah.
And
usually they're in, like right in the cellars.
Yeah,
and
you
stuff
kind of start to feel like a bit of a troll.
Yeah.
You know, just in the dark all the time. So yeah, just get some bloody daylight and go for a walk. Nothing's gonna stop if you. The world's not gonna stop if you take a break. Yeah.
Exactly. That is such a nice place to leave today's episode and the last one of Series 1. So thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you.
And so much positive news there. So I'm going to leave it there, and I'm going to glue my eyes to your social media to find out what that breaking news is going to be.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And what a story to end Series 1 with. I absolutely loved talking with Lindsay and hearing all about the Smoke and Soul story, and cannot wait to see their HQ open with food events, and more importantly, finding out what that top secret information is. Couldn't do my digging there. Well, that takes us to the end of Series 1, and what a whirlwind it's been. Starting merely as a creative output to recharge what I can only describe as flat Instagram batteries, working on dishing it has been the remedy I was looking for. As I record this, I'm blown away to share that the podcast has had over 650 plays, and I just can't get my head around that. I was thinking maybe 100 tops, and 50 of those me maybe. Thank you to all the guests that have joined me, and to all of you who have tuned in as well. I really hope you've enjoyed listening as much as I have recording. Just as Lindsay shared in her recipe to happiness at the end of the episode, follow your passions and do it because you love it. And I've loved working on dishing it, so to that note, there will be a Series 2 later in summer, where I'll be lining up more food chats with food experts, food podcasters, food Instagrammers, writers, you name it, we'll get them on, and we'll be talking about all things food, of course. If there's someone you'd love to hear from in Series 2, or maybe you would love to be a guest yourself, I'd love to hear from you. Just drop me an email to thefoodhoover@outlook.com, or take a cheeky slide into my DMs over on Instagram at thefoodhooveruk. So, while I leave to beaver away at making Series 2 a thing, all that's left to say is, stay safe, eat well, and speak soon. It's been a blast.